ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। Prostrations to Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, who has come in so many forms to bless us all. This is the second series of my collected talks on compassion and faith. I formulated this thought, these talks, only after coming to Aham. Even for that I am grateful to Aham. I'll start. Today I have been asked to sing. My sweet voice has rejected to sing. Maranavadane matra Ramananena Arunaithanil Amudam Bandhutradu Tarunamamidu Satrina Nanumaku Aranamaha அடைந்துயிர் வாழ்வினே மரணவாதனை மாற்ற ராமாணனேனும் அமுதம் வந்துற்றது. This is a spontaneous composition by Muruganar and very much appreciated by Bhagavan. The translation of that is, to save us from the pain of death, immortal bliss, Amrita, has come and settled in Arunachala now with the name of Ramana. This now is the time. I tell you to take refuge in Him and start to live this life everlasting. This is a beautiful verse, giving emphasis. It's very strange what we have been discussing about life, past, present, future, everything. This is the time now to live a life of everlasting. And that's going to be the subject matter which we are going to share. Last Sunday, we saw Bhagavan himself appealed to his Guru Arunachala. Bhagavan says, O Lord, Arunachala, self-supreme, I have had enough of carrying the world upon my head, parted from you. Arunachala, Supreme Self, think no more to keep me at a distance from your feet. So these powerful two prayers, Bhagavan appealing to his Guru, Arunachala, and then Muruganar, is great poet saint. He appeals to his Guru, Bhagavan Ramana. These two prayers are like two pillars. It is like, I don't know whether you have seen Samson and Delilah. This world, this suffering, this pain, this illusion of whatever we are leading as life is like a big, huge palace into which Samson has been imprisoned. He had his power in his hair. The lady Delilah cut those hair and he became powerless. He was more powerful than Ulysses. And he was put in prison. As I shared the other day, Arthur Osborne said any of these mythological or old stories have rich content for us seekers. He was in the prison, and after a few days, he lost completely, all his power was in the air. And after a few days, they ignored him, they did not feed him, he was in the underground cellar. So they did not notice his hair has already grown. By that time, they have blinded him also so that he will not escape and go away. And Samson realized his power has not left. Like us seekers, we are afraid, we have lost the self. And a guru reminds you, no, you are always the self. So he knew his hair has grown and then he was very powerful. The very same lady who deserted him said, I am sorry, I will help you. He said, I remember the whole palace is standing on two pillars. And please take me near that pillar. And then that movie, I loved that movie, Victor Mature, Mr. Universe, he was Mr. Universe. Victor Mature. He comes and uses his whole power. The king and their tormentors, they only saw that he had lost power, but they did not know he has regained his power. And he gives a push to these two pillars, and the whole palace, everything gets deserted. Of course, Samson also dies, Delilah also dies. But here, our two sufferings, like these two pillars, or one, relying too much on our head. Knowledge, what we saw the other last Sunday, what is wrong with the brain or head? It knows only knowledge and its absence, ignorance. And Bhagavan beautifully put it, in the waking there is knowledge, and in deep sleep the absence of knowledge is ignorance. But both you are not. When you understand that you are behind both knowledge and ignorance, so this suffering, Bhagavan prays, make my head, let me put my head at your holy feet. The second suffering is the pain of death. Everyone knows we are going to definitely die. So these are these two pillars of hurdles. the knowledge and the fear of death. Why fear of death? What is there? We do not know what is death. This morning I was about to share. We do not know our birth. Does anyone know his birth? We are reported. We are born. The same way, none of us know about the death. No one has seen the death except Ramana Maharshi. We only know what we think we are living now. Then why fear? You don't know anything about death. The great master J. Krishnamurti says, it is not the fear of death, the fear of giving up all that you know, your relatives, your house, your car, your bank balance, everything you are going to lose. That is giving up of the known, and you are imagining about death, the fear of the unknown. And for that also, Muruganar prays, catch hold of, there is only one course for death, immortality. All medicines, all doctors can only revive you back the health, but they cannot give you back a dead man life. But Amrita, that is the nectar, which in the mythology says all the celestial beings drink, so they have no death at all. Muruganar says there is one Amrita, the portion to give you immortality, that is Ramana, Bhagavan Ramana. So he says, he prays, fall at his holy feet. Bhagavan prays to Arunachala, don't remove me from your holy feet. Make me always stay in your holy feet, O Arunachala. Muruganar prays, if you are afraid, fall at the feet of the Sadguru. We take it a big, these two questions, how to live eternally. Last Sunday we saw, be the being. How to be the being all the time. And then now the second issue is, how to live the daily life, day-to-day living. This is the confrontation each one of us face, including the sages and saints. Buddha had problems, Jesus Christ had problems, Ramana Maharshi had problems. They also faced all this. It is a very big illusion that only we have suffering, we have pain, we have problems. What is the difference? How did Buddha live? How did Jesus Christ live? How did Ramana Maharshi live? In the midst of problems, in the midst of pain, in the midst of suffering. And why are we breathing under pain, under suffering? That's what we are going to see today. Before that, I want to tell you a story. I am a storyteller. I love that. The king Janaka in Hindu mythology was supposed to be a self-realized emperor. He is an example. Like Janaka, you should be self-realized. Even though he was a king, he had managing the whole empire, still he was in the state of self. So they show Janaka as the example. You can also live. You are just a small fry living in Durham. Janaka ruled the whole empire, staying in that state. So that King Janaka, how did he get enlightened? There are several stories. This is the story Bhagavan has said in the hall, in the old hall, before his realization. He was a well-read man. He had read all the scriptures, but as Stan said, intellectually only. He knew everything intellectually. And there is a passage in a scripture, to attain self-realization doesn't take much time. The statement in the scripture says, it takes only that much limited time for a man who wants to mount a horse, putting one leg on a stirrup, and how long will he take to take the other leg on the stirrup? That's all the time needed. This is the statement for self-realization. And King Janaka could not understand what it is. For the deepest, highest, the scriptures say it is unattainable. Such a great state, such a cheap example is given, like a horse, mounting the horse, and the time given is just to reach the other stirrup. And he wanted to know what it is. There were so many scholars, he called them. You have to clear this doubt of mine. If you clear the doubt of mine, whatever you ask, so much of gold, all that I will give. If you do not clear my doubt, because time is very precious, people should not come and disturb. I will put you in jail. So there were all the scholars, they thought it is very easy. So they went to jail. Hundreds of scholars were in jail. In that city, there was a child born. When the child was born, it had deformity. In 8 places, the child was deformed. It was looking very ugly. So he was called Ashtavakra. Ashta is 8, Vakra is deformed. So even to look at him, it will be very ugly. When he was a boy, he was playing with his friends. They were all gloating. Tomorrow is Father's Day. We are all going to celebrate Father's Day. And Ashtavakra's father is in jail. He was a great scholar. He went to clear the doubt of the king, but he is in jail. But his Ashtavakra's mother did not reveal that to him. Whenever he was asking, where is father? I have not seen father. He has gone abroad, something like that. She was giving palliative. That time, all the boys cheer him. Already they used to tease him because of his deformity. Now there was a specific occasion, so they were teasing him too much. Crying, he went to home and then said, Mother, tell me where is father? Tell me now. The way he was demanding it, she has to tell the fact. Your father is in jail. Why? Why did he go? Then she gave all the details. He could not clear the doubt of the king, so he is in jail. Oh, that's all because Ashtavakra, according to mythology, was a born jnani. He already realized. So he said, why? I will go and clear the king's doubt and I will release my father. He said, my child, hundreds and hundreds of scholars are along with your father in jail. You are a small child. He was only 8 years, 5 years or 6 years. Don't worry, Ma. I will come back. No, they will put you in jail. No, don't worry, I will come back with father. So he goes to the court. He announces, I have come to clear the emperor's doubt. They see such an ugly fellow, short fellow. They said, we will give you sweets, go home, or toys, go home. He said, no, I have come to clear the doubt of the king. So they had to take him. And Janaka is seated on the throne. Then the boy says, hey, emperor, what is your doubt? Tell me. He looks at him and such a puny thing. And he says, What is your doubt? He says, no, whatever you want, I will give him some toys and send him away. He said, no, I have come to clear your doubt. Tell me your doubt. He says, do you know the impact? If you don't clear my doubt, you will be... That is only for those people who are afraid of themselves. I will clear your doubt. I will release everyone. Now tell me what is your doubt. Then the king could feel, because he is also very well read, he could see the spiritual aura in spite of the deformity. He said, are you prepared to take the challenge? He said, yes. Now I will tell you my doubt. He said, wait. Ashtavakra said, wait. What is your position? What is my position? He said, I am the emperor. You have come to clear my doubt. Then, what is your position? You are. Then the king wakes up. You are in the position of a student, and I have come to clear your doubt. I am the guru. He said, yes, I accept that. What acceptance? Is this the position of the guru and disciple? The disciple is on the throne, guru is standing there. So the emperor wakes up, all the audience, they all wake up. So the emperor goes and puts that tiny tot on the throne, and he goes and stands there. Now tell me what is the position. He says, O Ashtavakra, you are my guru, and what is your position? I, the emperor, King Janaka. No! What is your position? I am the person who has got a doubt. Then he was about to say the doubt. He said, stop. I want the Guru Dakshina, the reward for being the Guru. Afterwards the doubt is cleared, they will give reward, but now I want the Guru Dakshina in advance. Whatever you ask, I will give. Give me what is the best for you. He says, I am offering you my kingdom. Is that all? Then he says, I, Janaka, I am offering myself at your feet. So, what is my position? Lord, you are my guru, you are the emperor of this country. And what is your position? I am an insignificant, ignorant, ordinary subject in front of you. And as emperor and the guru, I command you, go and get 2 horses. One horse. So he goes and gets 1 horse. He was about to tell the doubt, but he did not allow him to ask it. Now come, put me on the horse. Take me to the forest. And all these commander-in-chief, prime minister, they were all frightened. What is he going to do to our emperor? He says, silences them and goes. And when he reaches the depth of a forest that is away from the palace, he says, hey, Shishya, disciple, put me down. So he puts me down. Now tell me, what is your doubt? No, even when he was on the horse, he says, my disciple, what is your doubt? He says this. The scripture says, for a person when want to mount with one leg on the stirrup, and then before he could take the other leg on the other stirrup, he will get self-realization. Oh, that's your doubt. Now put me down. Now tell me what is my position and your position. I am ignorant, innocent disciple of yours. You are the emperor and my sole guru. And what do you want? I want clarity from you. Yes. Now, as guru and emperor, I command you, put your one leg on one stirrup. he does it. Now, take the other leg to the other stirrup. And he was, even though he was very quick as an emperor, he should know how to horse race. But still, this Ashtavakra was quicker enough. When his leg was halfway, he says, Janaka, stop. Then he is dangling there. But he has lost, he is in full consciousness and he could not put his leg down. He was in samadhi. Then Ashtavakra goes away. For 3 days he did not come. King Janaka was dangling in the air with one leg dangling and he was very happy. Then after 3 days, Ashtavakra comes, Janaka, my disciple, now put down your leg. And he puts down his leg, he gets realization. And he is in that state of ecstasy. Then Ashtavakra says, come, put me down, come down and then put me up. He takes him to the emperor, to the palace, sits on the throne. He says, I, the emperor, now command you, you are my servant, release all the prisoners you have put them, because your doubt has been cleared. And then he releases them, orders them, or he goes him. Then he says, my second commandment to you is, you have to come and sit on the throne and then rule the country. This is the story. Then, of course, in that state of self-realization, Janaka was ruling the country, and all these stories are. The story is very important. I want you to ponder over this story, the essence of the story, not the details of the story. The essence of the story is, as long as there is an I, you cannot get clarity. Usually, I used to tell my very close friends, as long as you are Stan can never get self-realization. When Stan is not there, when he is dissolved, then self-realization is there. That's why the famous scriptural statement, not I, but thou. Janaka could not get realization even though he did exactly what the scripture did. Ashtavakra also made him do exactly what the scripture has said. Before that he could not get it. Whichever way he tried, he could not. So as Janaka he could not get, when Janaka is not there, only the Guru is there, there is only one. You will get it. And I will take you to another incident. I want you to be following all these with the great seriousness and sincerity with which I am conveying it to you, I am sharing it with you. I was with Nisargadatta Maharaj, the living master. He was at that time living, and he had a method of whoever came, fresh people came, he will demand, including myself, he said, ask question, ask question, ask question. People used to be surprised. We have come to listen to you, master. What questions we can put? No, ask question, ask question. Then people will put some question, he will answer. And when I was with Nisargadatta Maharaj, one close disciple of his, I don't remember, it may be Ramesh Balsekar, he asked, Master, Maharaj, why do you insist? See, we have all come only to listen to your wisdom. How does our question matter? It is born of ignorance. You insist with everyone. Then Maharaj said, he used to play like this. Have you not noticed, when you go to any master, like if you go to Ramana Maharshi, he will say, ask who am I? Raise this question in your sleep. Or if you go to Swami Ramdas, he will say, chant Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Any master. And if you go to Shirdi Sai Baba, Allah Malik, that is, Lord is supreme. Have you noticed that? He said, yes, but why? Why should they demand from the ignorant disciple when the Supreme Master of wisdom, he has to give the wisdom to him? There lies the secret, he said. You yourself say you are an ignorant man. So your doubt has to be cleared. As Muruganar once told me, Bhagavan never answered the question, but he answered the questioner. Maharaj Nisargadatta Maharaj, real masters, great masters are like that. The question you have got to answer in Bible, in Bhagavad Gita, everywhere. The answer is there. But actually the person is caught up in himself. What he needs is release from himself. That's what Muruganar meant. He will answer the questioner. Here Maharaj also, he said, we, the saints use the word we, they don't say I. We means all the sages or only one person for them. So they always use the royal we. We are not concerned with your doubt at all. Then why do you ask us to put question, Maharaj? When you put that question, something from within you without your knowledge comes up, we catch that. What you have, you think intelligently, your doubt or you are very sincere about it, is only 1/9 of your entire being. Your conscious questions and even the conscious answers that you read from scriptures or from sages and saints, you feel now my doubt is cleared. Only 1/9 of your being has been cleared off. The 8/9 are subdued within you, which you do not know how to deal with. We work on that. That's why Bhagavan prays, don't remove me from your feet. Arunachala Guru, Muruganar prays to Bhagavan, you have to fall at the feet of Bhagavan. Does it mean that we have to idol worship the Guru and Bhagavan is gone? Even Muruganar gone, everyone, Jesus Christ gone, Buddha gone. How to fall at the feet of the Guru? That's why we should have satsang. In satsang, some of these inner doubts get easily cleared. What is exactly meant by repeatedly in Buddhism and Hinduism, fall at the feet of the Sadguru, fall at the feet of the Sadguru, hold on to the holy feet of the Sadguru. Our great master, Bhagavan also says, don't remove me from your holy feet, Arunachala, he says. What is that? I'll give you one incident from Bhagavan's life. There was one lady devotee, Parsi lady devotee, Rhoda McKeever, very simple person, not very knowledgeable like Arthur Osborne or Cohen or Chadwick. She was a very simple lady, beautiful lady. She had, when she saw Bhagavan's picture in Bombay, something happened to her. She gave up her husband, family, everything, came to Ramanashram. In front of ashram, there was one MacIver, one Britisher who was staying there in a hut. For that purpose, she remarried him. to stay in the ashram, in the presence of Bhagavan. And fortunately for her, MacIver left her the cottage and then assured her to send monthly income also. He went away somewhere else. That Rhoda MacIver had read Hindu scriptures saying, in Parsi also, Zoroastrianism also, they are much ritual oriented, superstitious beliefs. There also the holy feet of the Guru is very important. So she decided, Ramana Maharshi is my Guru and God. I will get emancipated if I touch Bhagavan's feet. In Ramana Ashram, no one is permitted to touch Bhagavan's feet. Many people used to think that it is some religious prohibition, taboo or nothing. Bhagavan was very shy. He did not want anyone to touch him. I usually tell he is a 16-year-old virgin, like that, very shy. He gets... So, he never liked that, so they followed. All attendants of Bhagavan will never allow anyone to touch Bhagavan's feet. She has been for months and 1 or 2 years also waiting for the day when she could meet Ramana Maharshi alone, so that her life's ambition to fall at Bhagavan's feet, she could do it. It arrived one day after lunch. Bhagavan was coming out alone, no attendant, no one was there. So she went to fall at Bhagavan's feet. When she was about to bend, Bhagavan looked at her. He said, Rhoda. He used to talk in English, those who do not know Tamil. Like Osborne, he used to talk in English. Rhoda, what are you doing? Bhagavan, I want to fall at my Sadguru's feet. This has been my ambition. All my ambition, I have been waiting for this. Now there is nobody, so please permit me to fall at your Sadguru's feet. Bhagavan came closer to her and showed his own feet. Rhoda, are they Sadguru's feet? No. Sadguru's feet, he came little more closer and put his hand near her heart, did not touch her, put her heart. Rhoda, Sadguru's holy feet is always here in your heart. So, this is the revelation I got in satsang, because I was also a little averse. Why this falling at somebody else's feet? But Bhagavan clarified through Rhoda the Sadguru's holy feet, which the Hindu scriptures, Buddhist scriptures and Parsi scriptures, they give absolute stress for that, was a puzzle for me and of course to every one of us. Bhagavan cleared it through Rhoda that Sadguru's feet is one's own heart. So if this now Bhagavan is also gone, the Sadguru is also gone. Outwardly we cannot even fall at his feet, but always we have, at any time, we can turn within to the Sadguru. Because we saw in that story of Janaka and Ashtavakra, Janaka being the greatest scholar and most sincere in the spiritual world, his aspiration is considered to be the topmost mark for him. He was so sincere. But he could not. And Sadguru had to come and make him not Janaka, and then he got it. So, the Sadguru's feet, Bhagavan says, he even sings one song, O Arunachala, thy name is heart. Arunachala is two words, Aruna Achala. Aruna is the being. If I am not alive, I cannot talk. If you are not alive, you cannot be listening. That simple being, aliveness. Only when we identify that aliveness with the body, all problem comes. But Just that being aliveness, that's what is being referred to as Aruna. Achala means don't move it. Don't move it is from heart, don't go to the brain. Don't move it, achala, keep it. Chala means movement, achala means do not move it. So the heart is the Sadguru's feet. If Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is there, fall at his feet. But he is not there. Arunachala is there, that's why all old devotees of Bhagavan even used to roll round Arunachala, falling at Arunachala's feet. Outwardly we can do that also. In the night I used to go round the hill every night. Everywhere I used to prostrate to Arunachala. Because no one is there, I am alone, I am the emperor. I can do anything I want. So I used to prostrate. So outwardly you can do that. But that is not available now. But can you deny this inner Sadguru, which Bhagavan has pointed out, which has been revealed in Satsang with Rodama? I got that revelation. This is always available. Turning to the inner Guru. And this is, it is not a clever explanation by me or Murugan or by anyone. This is the truth. This is the right understanding. When Bhagavan says, fall at the feet of the Sadguru, or Muruganar says, fall at the feet of the Sadguru, we should have the right understanding. You know, the great Buddha, when he had enlightenment, his cousin Ananda was all the time with him. There was another shepherd woman, Sujata. She was, both of them, I always feel very grateful. We should eternally be grateful to Ananda. So when Buddha had enlightenment, he called him Buddha. Only Ananda called him Buddha is enlightened. The word means enlightened. He was going away, so Ananda caught hold of him and said, Uncle, where are you going? I see you have, there is a spiritual aura. Why don't you share it? Why don't you give it to others? Buddha turned to him and said, Ananda, what I have got, those who already have got have no need for that. Those who do not have it, even if I tell them, they cannot understand it. So, in both ways, there is no need for me to talk. Then Ananda held his feet. Uncle, there are those like me who are little dust in our eyes. We know what is truth, but we do not know how to experience it. We want the truth, we are prepared to sacrifice anything in our life, but we are not able to do that. Your words can help us. That Buddha recognizes. Then he goes to Sarnath, gives this fourfold truth, and then next sentence he said, eightfold guidance to approach, attain this truth. All that he told, Ananda was also with Buddha there. The eightfold guidance for aspirants that Buddha gave was right aspiration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right understanding, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Again Ananda fell at his feet. Uncle, these are all too much for me. Tell me only one thing with which I can emancipate as I am. Buddha with great compassion. All the masters have compassion. You have to ask, what does Bible say? Knock, it shall be opened. Ask, it shall be given. Don't hesitate. You have to ask. Ananda asked, Uncle, please tell me something, one with which I can emancipate myself. Buddha with all compassion said, Ananda, right understanding. Right understanding is not the opposite of wrong understanding. You stay in the now will reveal to you. The now will reveal, just as when I was with Rhoda, when she narrated this story, something exploded within me. The Guru's holy feet, you have to fall. Bhagavan sings about it. Muruganar sings about it. What is this? Falling at somebody else's feet. That satsang with Rhoda McKeever gave me the right understanding of Guru's feet is in one's own heart. That's the right understanding. Right understanding is not through the brain. You analyze it, argue, discuss, and then arrive at a solution. You are still within the metal globe. Have you not seen in the circus there will be a metal globe in which a motorcyclist will be going fast. He still, however fast he goes, he is still in the metal globe. So whatever you do, you are still in the brain. But only satsang, when you the satsang, something happens, it explodes. So this Sadguru's holy feet, at any moment we can turn to fall at that. Fall at that means pay attention to that. So all the importance comes to you. You are responsible. Because now even the outer guru's importance is shifted to you, that it is the inner guru is within you. So many people in the Bhagavan's presence itself, really sincere people ask, Bhagavan, I find it very difficult to turn within. How to turn within? Then Bhagavan said, others have attained. Look to them. Have faith in yourself and in others. They have attained it. That's the one thing, that's why this satsang is all most important. The breakthrough between what you have been referring to, the book knowledge and experience, it is not only just the aham, the institution, the satsang. The satsang brings about the explosion. That explosion is the right understanding. And you should be prepared for that. You should sacrifice yourself and you should be absolutely faithful and true to yourself. I will give you one more incident. In Bhagavan's life, there were so many professors who used to come on Saturday, Sunday and Saturday and Sunday and listen to Bhagavan. One day Bhagavan was explaining one of the verses of 40 verses. It was so brilliant, so wonderful. Though the professors were all intellectuals, one of them had this explosion. So he got up and then said, Bhagavan, you are the greatest teacher. Bhagavan, your teaching is the greatest teaching. He said it very truthfully because of the explosion inside. And like my friend, he had tears also in his eyes. Bhagavan looked at him compassionately and said, he nodded his head of approval. What he said was true, but the greatest teacher and the greatest teaching for whom? You. The importance to you is undeniable. We are going out of ourselves searching for the truth outside. We go to some gurus, we go to many institutions, classes, all the time, very sincere. I am neither mocking at the other outward gurus or institutions and classes. As long as you are going to go out, you are still in the metal globe. You are only driving the motorcycle faster or this way, that way, all tricks only. You are not outside. The purpose of motorcycle is to go faster for longer distances, to go within. All spiritual teaching is to go within. And this is what Bhagavan meant. The greatest teacher and the greatest teaching for whom? for every one of us. When are we going to wake up? When you turn within, as all these 77 old devotees whom I have interviewed have done it, they shared with me, not me in the sense of egoistic me, with Anuradha, with youngsters who came, and all of them got ignited. We are all madly sticking to Arunachala. Why? That madness, it has been given, inculcated to us. This the turning within and getting that experience. What is that experience? When you turn within, that explosion produces compassion and faith. Compassion and faith is not the sole property of saints and sages and gods alone. If it is saints' sole property, what is the use? If you are a millionaire, billionaire, what is the use for me? And you are keeping it so tightly. You are not giving it to me. What is the use? If masters are compassionate, masters have great faith. See, Rama, when I use the word faith, be very careful, very sensitive. Faith is not love. Faith is not conviction. Faith is not belief. All this is dependent on the brain. Faith is where you are not. Faith happens through you, not by you. Belief is by you. That's why they change religions. From Hinduism, they convert themselves to Christians. Your choice. Because you have complete faith in Jesus Christ's teaching. Believe, you have completely, not faith, believe, completely believe. But faith is not that, in spite of you. Ramana Maharshi says, when he came from Skandashram to Ramanashram, naughty people like us were around Bhagavan. They said, Bhagavan, they say you don't make decisions, but did you not choose to give up Skandashram life and come to Ramanashram down? Bhagavan smiled. The same power, higher power, which brought me from Madurai to Arunachala, the same higher power brought me from Skandashram to this present ashram. This is faith. This faith he had not at the end of his life. On the very first day when he came to Arunachala, he went and embraced 16-year-old boy, the lingam, the Hindu symbol of the ultimate God, Shiva. But what Bhagavan used the language was Father. And of course in Tamil. I have come at thy bidding. The next word is thy will be done. All his 54 years, there was no yes or no from him. There was no individual. When he was questioned by a court judge to record a statement from him, any court records should be signed by the declarant. So he said, you have to sign this declaration. He said, what to sign? You have to sign your name. I don't have any name. But you are called Bhagavan Sri, he was very naive, that judge. You are called Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, you have got a name. See, that's what others call. I don't have a name. Thy will be done. This is the breakthrough. What Nisargadatta Maharaj said, what you think you know or what you think you do not know is only 1/9 of your being. The Sadguru, the inner Sadguru, knows the 8/9. Who is the inner Sadguru? The heart, compassion. Not this fellow. He is the villain of the whole movie. I am fond of James Bond movie. Every James Bond movie has a villain. The same hero, the same villain. This is the villain, this is the hero. Heart is the hero. Turn to him. You are the fulcrum. Maharshi specifically said, you are the fulcrum, each one of the you, not a particular chosen disciple, because that person is just seated in front. You are the fulcrum of the whole wheel of living. What is fulcrum? The main thing, isn't it? For a motor or a cycle or anything. You are the fulcrum. How can I be? Because we always identify as a sinner, as an ignorant man, as an imperfect man. So, and Bhagavan has also said, others have done it. When you have doubt with yourself, look to the stories of sages and saints, East and West, Chinese, whatever it is, Zen masters. Read the lives of them. That's the satsang. There will be the clue for you, which is not you, though you read it with your mind, it makes you transcend from mind to the heart. And you have to listen. I am going to share with you to have complete faith in yourself. The three instances in Bhagavan's old devotees. Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer, don't worry about the name. He went to Bhagavan when Bhagavan was at Virupaksha cave. Great scholar. He had read all scriptures. He had the doubt. He had the feeling he is a sinner. Every one of us have in some corner we feel that we have not done enough or we have done something wrong. That is what I mean by sinner, not the ethical sinner. Something defective. So he went to Bhagavan in Virupaksha cave. He addressed Bhagavan. Jesus Christ, the Buddha, and other great sages came to the world to redeem the sinners. Is there hope for me? This is a leading question. If Bhagavan had answered, he would have said, please release me. So Bhagavan looked at him steadily and assured in English, yes, there is hope. Go within. First of all, the intellect wanted an assurance from a greater, stronger person, either physically or mentally or spiritually. We need only some assurance, some pat on the back. So he says, yes, there is hope. Go within. Because within is this inner guru is there. The 8th, 9th is also there. Why are you all the time depending only on the 1/9? The 8th, 9th is here, then you become complete. The explosion takes place. My teacher T.K. Sundaresh here, when Bhagavan was at Skandashram, he was a very, very poor teacher. Perhaps Americans can never understand it. A school teacher getting only $50 per month salary, 20 rupees, $50. But he was happy. And every time when he climbed up to Bhagavan at Skandashram, he will take some candy, something, raisins, little bit for a copper. But that day, he did not have even a copper. So he went up to Skandashram and he said, Bhagavan, I am so unhappy. I do not have any money. So I could not bring you any offering, Bhagavan, he cried. Bhagavan smiled and said, why? You have brought the most important thing. Everything else is absolutely unimportant. And my teacher was so puzzled. He had not brought anything. Bhagavan says, you have brought the most important thing. And second, as I told you, he will always use a double negative the next sentence. Everything else is unnecessary. So he looked at Bhagavan puzzled. You have brought yourself. And that is very significant. Teacher told me, you are. So we will be, and next 2 days, and Major Chadwick, this I will die, whether it doesn't matter whether it is recorded or not. So you are very important. Please understand this. This is not just a theoretical sharing, theoretical statement. Focus all your attention within yourself. We are already selfish. That's not what I am meaning. Every one of us is selfish. But focus your attention within. Major Chadwick, during Bhagavan's last days, he was very much attached to Bhagavan as God, Bhagavan as Guru, Bhagavan as a human being, his father also. Bhagavan was to die. So he went into the Nirvana room, cried and cried before Bhagavan. Bhagavan, you are going to leave me. What can I do? Bhagavan turned to him, smiled at him, and said, the prime duty of a guru is to establish the certainty of his presence, his existence in the hearts of his disciples. And having done that, the guru is free to leave. So in each one of us, the Sadguru had implanted the truth. Turn within, fall at the Sadguru's holy feet. And for that, you need complete faith. That is, if you turn within, faith comes spontaneously, not belief. You need not believe that Ramana Maharshi is great. Somebody will come and erase it. But faith, which is not yours, but it is in you, cannot be erased. And compassion. Be compassionate to yourself. Are you aware you are not compassionate to yourselves? This is what Krishnamurti used to say. You are not honest with yourself. Sir, please be brutally honest with yourself. Bhagavan uses the word, be compassionate to yourself. When you turn within, my friends, I assure you, the spontaneous, like when you plant a seed, 2 leaves come up, compassion and faith will automatically well up. So in our next 2 sessions, we have to get more confirmation. We saw these 3 devotees. Bhagavan said, see, others have achieved it. These 3 people had already achieved. Now we will go to the source itself, to Bhagavan, and see what exactly is compassion, what exactly is faith. During this retreat, we are going to literally live in the presence of Bhagavan, which means Stan should not be there. And Usha should not be there. But I want Usha, I want Stan, everyone to be there. Only Bhagavan will be there. Thank you.